you never go full Bitcoin maxi. You just won't return. And you'd be annoying as shit. Every single Monday, let us take that role. We will become a Bitcoin maximalist. Of course, we will not go full tilt into it because you just won't make it back. We'll help you to the edge, have a look over, consider making that jump, but we'll reel you back in with our videos and other content throughout the week. Ultimately, you got to acknowledge and respect Bitcoin as the king of crypto. It is what it is for a reason. And we're about to enter, if you watched the previous video, recommend go and check it out. We're about to enter a cycle, and it could be a year and a half longer than where we're currently at, that Bitcoin is going to make a dominant run against all other cryptos in the space. Now, it'll be interesting to see how that affects the NFT space as well, but in regards to Bitcoin, it is the king of crypto for a reason, so you might as well try to understand it on a deeper level. And we're going to be going over some news within today's video, talking about the 2 US senators creating legislation around Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies in order to regulate the space. Also talking about the Fed comparing eggs with sales of USD and then eggs with sales of Bitcoin. What does that mean? Also talking about the legality of Bitcoin around the world. A sea of orange is starting to spread, and on a weekly basis, we'll keep checking in to see how far or how many countries are adopting Bitcoin along the way. We will be chatting about the S-curve on the adoption of Bitcoin, where we're currently at and what we can expect, and how early are we actually within the cryptocurrency space still at this time. Also, data, looking at charts and graph, ETH compared to Bitcoin. What does that mean really for dominance? ETH is the dominant altcoin within the space. How is it comparing to Bitcoin, and where are we about to go? Also checking out some other charts, checking out the Bitcoin price. Currently, we did break a streak, and not a good streak at that, but we broke it in the positive way. And then ending this video with a dollar cost average into Bitcoin every single week. Let's go ahead, everyone, check out our content today, going over, looking at the U.S. senators discuss highly anticipated Bitcoin bill. Senators Cynthia Lummis and Kristen Gillibrand will introduce the Responsible Financial Innovation Act for regulatory clarity for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. It even touches base on NFTs as well, very small amount, but also talks about central bank-backed tokens. Shit's whack. On Tuesday, June 7th, 2022, Cynthia Lummis, a Republican senator and rancher from Wyoming, Kristen Gillibrand, a Democrat senator and securities lawyer from Albany, New York, will introduce the Responsible Financial Innovation Act. This bill is a broad sweeping attempt to regulate Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. In Lummis' words, the bill will fully integrate digital assets into the financial system, big bonus, and bring an order to the crypto space. I will throw a link into this article in the description, so if you want to further check it out. Some of the talking points was cleaning up a mess of existing cryptocurrency legislation. No new agencies. The SEC and the CFTC remain in charge, which is the CFTC is the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. And then mining is covered under the new bill. Stable coins are also included, which we talked about the CBDCs. Which just opens up a whole new bag of tricks. So hopefully there's more legislation on that as well. Let's go ahead, check out the Fred blog. If you don't know what the Fred is, this is actually the Federal Reserve Economic Data. This gives you basically some data behind money printing ultimately, and what they're trying to do is look at the currency related to price volatility. Really trying to position themselves that the dollar is more respectable than Bitcoin. Buying eggs with Bitcoin. What does that mean, right? What the takeaway from this is, they're trying to show volatility for Bitcoin and how the US dollar is in a better light than what Bitcoin currently is right now. And then the cost it has on the Bitcoin network itself, layer 1. Ultimately, we all know layer 2 is for the payment system, the Lightning Network itself. And for the Fed to actually put this out, this was given out on June 6, 2022, it really starts to legitimize Bitcoin even further. It's on their radar. They're trying to give credit to the US dollar, which they inflated the shit out of it, and using eggs of all things, something that they can probably regulate on a pretty great basis. Well, let's go check on gas or other commodities around the space and not just eggs. This is super interesting that they are putting this data out. I think that it really makes Bitcoin a more legitimate possibility that it could be a currency within the entire world. And that's just my opinion on that. Now, Bitcoin legality across the world itself. Bitcoin has been banned by 8 countries, which involve China, Nepal, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Algeria, Macedonia, Qatar, and lastly, Bolivia. Those are the 8 countries that have banned Bitcoin. Now, the countries that have made Bitcoin legal tender is El Salvador down here in Central America. And then, of course, the Central African Republic over there in Africa. The first 2, and I think the first 2 of many. What we'll start to see is a domino effect take place, probably a lot in South Africa itself, potentially in Central America as well. I meant South America. And then in Africa, it'll be interesting to see what happens around Central African Republic with these other nations, such as the Congo or South Sudan, Republic of Sudan, Chad, Cameroon, Nigeria, all these different countries in Africa. What starts to take place? It'll be very interesting, and we'll just kind of check in on a weekly basis to see if anything has changed. Currently, 8 illegal countries with Bitcoin and only 2 with legal tender. And, of course, I think with time, that will change. Checking in on the S-curve, it gives an idea of the growth of Bitcoin, the adoption of Bitcoin within a space. Currently, right now, where we are at, and as you can tell, we are still so early. We are the early majority. It's like 1 in 5 or 1 in 4, somewhere in between there, has a ownership into Bitcoin. Okay, 1 in 5 individuals out there in the world, or 1 in 5 roughly. Now, what is interesting about this, and I'm going to let you listen to something in just a moment here from Robert Breedlove interviewing Brian Estes, basically explaining that early adopters, how long it takes to get the 10% of a population to actually own Bitcoin. It took 10 years to get to that point, mind you. Okay, so creation of Bitcoin in 2009, 2019 was when 10% of the population had ownership of Bitcoin. It takes the same amount of time to get to 10% as it does to get to 90%. So just keep that in mind. And currently right now, we're roughly anywhere between 20 to 25%. We're going to be diving into Ethereum compared to Bitcoin and why it ultimately matters, giving us an idea of what is about to happen to the space. So what we're currently tracking here is early 2020, January, mind you. This is Ethereum compared to Bitcoin, and it went over the bull market support band when these two are priced against one another, and ETH ran for 2 years, all the way to January 2022. 2-year frame. If you got into crypto from 2020 all the way until now, 2022, all you have seen is Ethereum outpace Bitcoin. But mind you, before that took place, here's us back in January 2018. Ethereum peaked out in comparison to Bitcoin, and for 2 years, it declined. It got shit on for 2 straight years. So it's basically a side of two tails right now. And what we are experiencing is Bitcoin reclaiming some dominance against Ethereum. Are we in store for another 2-year run where Bitcoin just becomes dominant against ETH? And ultimately, are we just going to oscillate between Bitcoin and ETH every 2 years? So if you are trying to prepare yourself, maybe get into Bitcoin. Remember, I'm taking a role as a Bitcoin maxi in this regard, getting yourself all into Bitcoin because everything is going to bleed against it, then allowing yourself to position back into it after a 2-year timeline. In our previous video, we discussed that, made another case of the entire crypto market. But when we're talking specifically Ethereum versus Bitcoin, it lays it out perfectly for us. From 2018 to 2020, Ethereum bled against Bitcoin. But from 2020 till now, or until the end of, or the beginning of 2022, I should say, Bitcoin bled against Ethereum. So we're going to keep checking everything out on a weekly basis, but honestly, we see Ethereum take that dip. Once it took it here, it bled hard for the rest of the year. We're going to keep a close eye on that. Here's some other charts as well to give you an idea of Bitcoin and how or what generational buys you might be experiencing in the near future. These charts are basically hat tip to Will Clemente, tweeting these out. We're just kind of delivering some of the content for you. What you'll notice is during these peaks, we peaked out, but when they had their bottoms, this is where those generational wealth opportunities are. Again, bottom out right here, down here, and this beautiful line is there, that indication for you when that once in a lifetime opportunity to buy Bitcoin. We talked about it in last week's video with another chart we're about to show once again. Here, once again, generational buying opportunity. The COVID dip also got down there. And right now, we're getting pretty close. That just means that maybe the bottom is right around the corner, or we might never get there. And what we previously saw with the 25,000 Bitcoin has already come and gone. And that was your opportunity to buy generational wealth through Bitcoin. And you'll never see a $25,000 again. Or you might get a $12,000 Bitcoin. Only time's going to tell. We went over this chart last week as well, short-term holders versus long-term holders, giving you a little indication. Also the same thing going below this line is that generational opportunity to accumulate Bitcoin. Each time Bitcoin has really dipped, again, we're getting that opportunity. We got the short-term and long-term holder ratios intersecting with one another. Currently right now, we don't have that intersection. Is that going to play out in the coming months? Guess what? We'll just keep a close eye on it, because if it does, I think that's a great indicator that we are right around where the bottom should be, or the bottom's going to quickly dip. People are going to eat that shit up and then leave. So we're going to kind of keep track of that, see where we're going. We do want to hit on that. We hit now 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weekly red candles into the red, 9 straight weeks of pain. Finally ended last week with a green candle. We even started this week off with a green candle. Currently, the price of Bitcoin is over $31,000. Are we going to get a relief rally? A lot of people are anticipating we're going to get a relief rally up to the bear market resistance band, and then ultimately we're going to kick it back down to a new low. Or if we push it through it, what you should do is wait to see, because we did push through it before, to see if we hold it for support. If we do hold it for support like we have in the past, we set a new all-time high. So that's just going to be kind of curious to see. Most individuals do expect this. Typically when you expect it, you don't get it. But we're going to kind of play it out on a weekly basis just to check in. Now, of course, we added another $100 here on June 6th, got ourselves 318,000 Satoshis, added another $100, of course, for our June. That gets us up to $600 for monthly, halfway through the year currently, with a cost basis of $40,000 for the Bitcoin, currently at 1.5 million Satoshis. The weekly is almost at 6 million Satoshis collected for a weekly investment of, or a weekly of $100, but in total $2,300 with a weekly cost basis of $39,000 per unit of Bitcoin that we're purchasing, or units of Satoshis, I should say. Profit or loss right now is both around 20% or 21%. I think over time that will turn around, especially when we're buying at such low prices currently. Even if we go lower, we're just going to gobble and eat that shit up each and every time. All right. Accumulating Bitcoin is only better for you and your portfolio. With time, Bitcoin's going to get to $1 million at some point by 2030, if not before. So why not eat it up when you can, right? Until next time, everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace.